wewe fungua nikuambie. Akafungua, nikamwambia usiende nyumbani. Wewe enda tu kwa barabara, tupatane tuende usi. Akaanza kuniambia, mama, sasa usi mtaenda aje na pesa pia, kazi hauna, pesa hauna. Si nitafungiwa huko.
I'm 16. Niko class 8 by now.
Kwa class 8? Unaishi wapi?
Naishi tu mtasemaje, huko chini. Nakuru tu. Nika drop out. Nikaambiwa nyumba, nikaangana nayo nikazaa. So from then nili give up kurudi shule. Juu mama pia kulikuwa wengi. Mama pia alikuwa peke yake. Sikuwa na dada. Mama alikuwa peke yake. Sasa angeweza. Wengine pia walikuwa high school, angeweza kumanage si wote. Ndio maana nili give up tu hivyo. Sasa vile sitangu alipata hii sponsor, akapikia mamangu, akaniuliza nitarudi shule. Nikamwambia nitarudi.
What are some of the challenges that you've gone through ukiwa na dadako mdogo saizi, from the moment you found out that she was pregnant hadi saizi? Okay, akishika mimba mimi sikuwa naye. By that time nilikuwa shule. Tulikuwa tunaishi home na mama. So hatukufurahia. Hata mimi mwenyewe cause a little disappoint. Lakini baadaye nilikuja nikamwambia bado kuna chances za kurudi shule na hakuna kenye imeharibika. Maisha bado inaweza endelea tu. About sponsorship, niliambiwa penye nafanya kazi ni best yangu, head teacher wa hiyo shule. So alipost kwa hall ya shule, nikasoma nikaona. Nilienda nikamuuliza, akaniambia wana sponsor tu wenye wako within Nakuru West County. Lakini by that time sistangu alikuwa home. So nilimuongelesha na mwenye alikuwa anasimamia niseme children's rights, alikuwa best yake. Akaniambia atamuongelesha. Mimi pia sikuachia tu hapo. Nilienda na nikamtafuta Madam Joan na nikamuongelesha, nikamwambia everything. Nilikuwa tu free na madam pia head teacher. Nikamuelezea kenye tunapitia home. Kaniuliza mbona natafuta. Nikamwambia ningefurahia sistangu wakirudi shule, maisha yake ichange juu penye yako sifurahi. So alikubali kunitafutia na akaongea na tukakuja interview. Nilikuwa na 16 years. Ulikuwa darasa la ngapi ndo ukaacha ukalea mtoto kwanza?
Nilikuwa class 8 term 1.
How did that make you feel the moment you found out that you're pregnant?
Nilikuwa najiona, marafiki zangu wakiniona, nilikuwa najifeel yani wakiniona wataongea vibaya. Alafu nilikuwa najiuliza sana nani atakuwa ananilelea mtoto, atakuwa nakula nini, nguo mali atakuwa anatoa. Nizo tu mpaka kuna time nilikuwa nasema better niende tu niolewe, lakini mtu akuolewa ndio sikuwa naona. Ile kama muda kasi sijawaambia na kwa mgundua. Sawa, wakati niligundua kaniambia nisikuwe na shida, atanisaidia kwa kila kitu.
Hakuna mtoto, ajui kuosha mtoto, hakuna kitu yenye anajua upande wa mtoto. Sasa ni mimi tu niamke asubuhi, nijipange na huyo mtoto wake, nimwambie kama analia ufanye hivi, akilala uwekelea kitu juu, asilale kama amejikunja. Sasa namfundisha tu hivyo pole pole. Ilienda tu hivyo juu nilikuwa nafanya hivyo hata mimi nipate nafasi yangu ya kwenda kutafuta kazi. Ilienda tu hivyo, saa zingine napata ya kufua, naitwa, naenda, nafua, narudi. Sasa baadaye penye alikuwa nasomea, headmaster wao akatumana kwa mwalimu mwingine akuja amuite. Sasa hata mimi pia nilishindwa, kwani ni nini yenye imefanyika. Huyo mwalimu alikuja usiku, akaniambia, Mama Lucy, headmaster amenituma kesho muende shule. Sasa nikashindwa. Tena alishachukua vitabu akapoteza ama ni nini. Kesho tukatoka tukaenda, ndio headmaster akaniambia kuna mradi ingine yenye nimepata hapa juu. Huyu mtoto nilikuwa nimempenda sana, alikuwa na perform vizuri. Sasa hata mimi mwenyewe nasikia vibaya kulingana na venye ilikuwa. Ndio wakaniambia kama utakubali kukaa na mtoto, wacha tu tumpeleke aende asome na we uangalie venye unajipanga na mtoto.
What's your opinion about teenage parenthood?
Well, it's a bit maybe I would say unfortunate that the teenagers get themselves into that position, but with proper guidance and counseling, they can do it. Yes, they can do it if they get proper guidance after they get into that situation.
And what are some of the potential challenges that they get to go through when they are in such a situation?
And when they are back to school,
Yes, when they're back to school.
when they are back to school, there is this issue of maybe feeling that they are not maybe at the right place, because already maybe their classmates or schoolmates already know that they are teenage mothers. It's a challenge. This brings down their morale, their self-esteem is brought down, and this can actually affect their performance in school. But just like I said, with proper guidance and counseling.
Okay, Miss Caroline, what are your overall perspective about teenage parenthood?
Teenage parenthood is firstly naturally not something that should be like that. It's something that happens in an environment where a few things are not maybe in the right order. By that I mean at that age a child should be in an identity, trying to find out who they really are. They should be in school, forging friendship, building a social life, So it's teenage parenthood, I can imagine, is something that is very hard for the teenage mom or dad in question.
Okay. And what are the most emotional challenges that they get to go through?
I can imagine how much level of emotional stress and turmoil that they go through, and one of them could be first the fear of being accepted or stigmatized in the community. Number two, probably failing their parents, right? Yes. Number three, fear of raising a child by themselves, and they could even get to levels of even being depressed or having anxieties and such mental health related issues as a result of a teenage pregnancy.
And how should teenage parents get to balance their responsibilities? Like them being in school, they have a social life, them being at home.
I think the first step would be if they're in a place where they've been, they get support. By support, I mean if they have people, maybe an elder sibling or a parent who's helping them take care of the child, or make arrangements with a daycare so that they don't neglect the needs of the child.
at the same time they're still going, you know, assuming they're in a position to go back to school. And of course it will leave them little time to have a social life, but maybe some things that they can do is activities that they can involve themselves in school activities, you know, extracurricular activities, as a way of socializing and still trying to balance, because you'll find that maybe most of the time their weekends will be occupied with the children or the child, but at least in the middle of the week, if the school is going for games or a certain sport, or being in a, you know, the social clubs, the ones for, you know, the school clubs, yeah, at least they can involve themselves in that, so that they don't feel like their whole lives are being completely overtaken by the child.
How can teenage parents deal with potential isolation and loneliness, like them being in school and all being stigmatized by the fellow students, and also sometimes with teachers?
I think the first stage is acceptance, because if you don't accept your situation first, you'll be the first person to self-stigmatize, right? Yeah. And if you have not accepted yourself, the community will not also accept you. So the first step is actually accepting that this happened, and I am now a teenage parent, and this is never gonna change. 10 years from now, 50 years from now, I'm a teen mom or a teen parent. This will never change. So acceptance is the first step. So once you've accepted yourself, of course there are people who will mimic you, they'll make fun of you, other teenagers. Once you accept yourself, you'll respect yourself enough to be in spaces that respect the fact that yes, there was a mistake that was made, and now you're a teenage mom. So that means not trying to fit in spaces where people are making fun of you, and being around, because I believe in maybe a classroom of 20, if maybe 10 are making fun of you, there are at least 3 or 4 or 5 people who will be kind to you, who will be accepting of your situation. So that can be a good, you know, starting point.
And how can they get to maintain their good relationship with their peers and their family at home? Because sometimes the family, they can get to stigmatize the child at times. How can they maintain their good relationship?
No, most of the time when people stigmatize things that we don't, we stigmatize and talk ill and are afraid of things that we don't understand, right? Because it doesn't make sense to you, you'll make fun of it because it doesn't make sense, you know? Yes. You haven't lived a day in that you make fun of it. So some of the things that this maybe teenage moms and teenage parents can do is realizing that despite them being a parent early, they're still teenagers, and it's okay for them to be part of the peer group, because you'll find that maybe they'll feel like, sasa mimi ni mama, so they'll want to maybe hang out in a certain group, but also their age and emotional needs may not fit, so they might be lost in between. So the first, you know, it's important for them to understand that yes, this happened, but it doesn't mean that I'm no longer a teenager. I'm still 17, I'm still 16, I'm still 18, and it's okay for me to hang out and be part of the activities of these other peers. Yeah.
And how does it get to affect their mental health?
As I mentioned earlier, it can be very easy for them to get into high levels of stress, you know, depression, anxiety. You can imagine the seclusion, even the changes, you can imagine just the physical hormonal changes. At this point, she was trying to transition into, you know, a young adult, and say maybe this girl is 17 or 18, and then something like this happens. So you can imagine how stressful it can be for them to try and just adjust to just that first. And then the second thing, before you know it, you're nursing a child. You know, you have a child who's going to call you mom. Other, you know, the other teenagers are trying to date young love and all that, puppy love, and you're trying to adjust to that. So you can imagine how hard that can be. So you'll find that even there's a tendency of them to, you know, isolate themselves, feel like, you know, they are failures. So they undergo a lot of mental health issues, which if they don't get the right support from maybe school counseling, professional counseling, even, you know, pastoral counseling, support from parents, support from siblings, they might fall into, you know, bouts of depression and anxiety.